Welcome to our TR7 Application Security Platform Frequently Asked Questions video series. In this video, I will explain how to set up Layer 7 caching in TR7 ASP, either dynamically or statically. HTTP caching is the process of responding to requests from the client without sending them to the server. Since the incoming requests are not sent to the backend server, the response time for the servers significantly improves. This also prevents excessive load on the servers. In TR7 devices, caching can be done both statically and dynamically in the created vServices, and the desired file types can be cached according to the created cache profile. Maximum object sizes to be cached, file types, and timeout values can also be configured. To create a caching profile, follow these steps: Traffic Manager, Profiles, Cache, Add. To create a static caching profile, enter a name for the cache profile to be created. Enter the header name information when caching is applied. By default, it appears as tar-cache. Write the maximum object size to be cached in megabytes. Choose how long the cached content will stay in the cache, whether in seconds, minutes, or hours. In the Caching Rules section, select the conditions under which caching will occur. By default, caching will happen if the path rule ends with the file types on the screen. You can click the Add button to create a desired caching rule. When Ignore Host Header is activated, the same files can be kept in the cache for multiple service instances, and the cached data is sent to the client without checking the host header in the next request. When Ignore Query is activated, regardless of the query parameters in the request, the filtered data is cached without creating separate cache entries for each query parameter. When Ignore Request Headers is activated, the filtered data is cached for each request without considering the request header, ignoring header information that could prevent caching. When Ignore Response Headers is activated, the filtered data is cached for each request without considering the response header. To create a dynamic caching profile, activate Dynamic Caching. In the Key tab, caching can be done dynamically for requests with the same values based on desired parameters. For example, if source IP address is selected as the key, the cached data is sent to the client as a response for requests that have the same source IP address. To make dynamic caching for clients with the same cookie information and request parameters, enter ID as the request parameter under Key Request Info Query Parameter. Under Key HTTP Header Info, Request Cookie Content, enter PHP Session ID as the cookie name and save to create the profile. Next, to assign the created cache profile to the vService it will be active on, open the Edit screen of the relevant vService. Activate Details Cache. Select the created cache profile and click the Save button to apply the changes. To view the content of the path with the PHP Session ID cookie and ID parameter, connect to the relevant server via SSH. A request with the PHP Session ID cookie and ID parameter is made to the relevant path of the vService's IP and port using Postman. When the first request is made, the request header shows that the tar cache header information is miss. This indicates that the first request's response came from the server because no data had previously been cached. When the request is repeated via Postman, the TR cache header information appears as hit. The relevant file is now being served to the client from TR7's cache instead of the server. The page content previously cached is changed on the server. When a request is made again, despite changes in the server's page content, if the request is made before the timeout expires, the cached content will be displayed instead of the updated content. If a request is made to the relevant path of the vService's IP and port before the timeout expires, and any of the cookie or parameter information differs from the configuration made on TR7, the response will be sent directly from the server instead of the cache, even if the cache has not expired. Thus, dynamic caching is successfully performed. When the first request shows the tcache header information as miss, the next request shows the TR cache header information as hit. Thus, responses for clients that do not make requests with the ID parameter and PHP session ID cookie return from a different dynamic cache. Thank you for watching, and see you in other videos.